Hello and welcome to the Kidney Bean. I'm Confessions of the Chronically Chill. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Samantha. Hello.
Hello. So we're talking about a podcast that you like, because apparently, that's all we're going to talk about is podcasts.
Yeah, all I do is listen to podcasts when I'm in the car, and I'm driving a lot. So.
Well, you do a lot when you're doing dialysis too, probably, but you can watch it then.
Yeah, I like to watch Pajama Pants when I'm doing it because there aren't a lot that I watch. Some of them, like My Favorite Murder, doesn't have, unless you're part of the fan cult. But yeah, I watch Pajama Pants, and then I sometimes will watch Your Mom's House. But that kind of gives me anxiety because I will never catch up because there's 700 episodes.
See, yeah, I usually would have that, where I would want to watch a podcast from the first episode, but then when I saw there were 700, I was like, yeah, no, I'm just cool starting with the last few so that I can be current on topics and stuff. Mm-hmm. But so what's the one you were listening to recently?
So well, I wanted to say that Christina P. with her outfit, the most expensive
Netflix outfit.
Yeah, the most money Netflix has ever dropped on an outfit.
Outfit was Christina P.
That pink suit, that
she looked fabulous in it. She looked amazing.
She always does. She has that Gwen Stefani vibe where she can do red lipstick with anything.
Yeah.
And she likes her red lip. Did you see when she was goth that one time?
Yeah.
So weird.
Episode 666.
I was watching it. Yeah, I was watching it with you. That's why she did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching it at your house.
Yeah, Tom Segura did not seem impressed with that look. I don't think he would. She was I used to do this every Friday, and he was like, why?
Yeah, the eyebrows, I hope she didn't do like that.
But she probably did. We're talking years ago, remember?
Yeah,
a lot of
in the
people
80s.
would paint on their eyebrows.
That's true. But so on the Exactly Right network that Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark have from My Favorite Murder, they added over the summer another podcast. It's called Adulting. I want to call it Adulthood, but I think it's Adulting. And I listened to the first episode today.
That's a great name for a podcast.
Yeah.
Adulting.
Yeah, it's Michelle Buteau and Jordan Carlos. They're both comedians, and it was hilarious. I can't
I'll have to
wait.
check it out.
Yeah, I can't wait to start listening to that, to add that into the car ride. I drove an hour today to...
Oh, yeah, because you drive. You have to drive out of town.
Yeah, most of the time I'm going to Fayetteville, Lumberton. I went to Rocky Mount today. Tomorrow I'll be in Rocky Mount. So I don't mind that, though. I kind of like it.
Well, we've got a 6-hour drive coming up, so I'm going to definitely probably want to listen to some podcasts. Because not next week, but the week after we go. Mm-hmm. On the 28th, we'll be going up to Philly and coming back on the 1st.
Yeah, so
super
you should
excited.
Listen to it.
Yeah, I will definitely, for sure. Give me all the podcasts that you think I might like.
You can listen to them. When I'm with Slim, I feel like I'm boring him, so I don't do it. I did find one that was, there's a true crime podcast called Once Upon a Crime, and her voice is kind of monotone, but the stories are always pretty interesting, and she does little different categories, little segments. So she had one on the day the music died, and it was started with Kurt Cobain, which was very interesting. Found out a lot of stuff about him that I never knew. And then there was Marvin Gaye, and then Selena came after. It was the Tupac and Biggie, like a twofer kind of thing. So I had him listen because he likes Tupac, and he liked that one. But
well, so one thing we didn't mention is to like and follow us on all of the social media, and we are also on Patreon. So check that out. But and we have to promote we're over here doing a podcast about podcasts. It's Podcastception.
Oh yeah, like Inception. That's funny.
Podception. Yeah, that we could just go on about that forever.
I could, and it's terrible because that is what I do during dialysis pretty much. I'll play Ludo King and have a podcast playing.
Well, The Sandman just came out on Netflix too, and that is really good. Well, so Sean Creech is a huge Neil Gaiman fan, and he's a writer. He's written Coraline and a lot of famous stuff that it erases I can't think about right now. But The Sandman is Sean's favorite graphic novel series. It's always been. In fact, in the first week I met him, 7.5 years ago, he gave me a comic to read that was a side Sandman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's been super excited about it. And we watched it, and it's really, really good. I know you won't like it because it's fantasy. It's basically 7 brothers and sisters that are personified ideas of like dreams, death, despair, desire.
Okay.
So, and destruction and destiny are the other 2. But they're like brothers and sisters in a loose sense. They're just like, they're called of the endless. And so like, they're just personified versions of like those ideas. But I like Neil Gaiman's writing. He's very, he's a very good storyteller. Like probably definitely of our generation, probably the best writer.
Yeah.
And he's written a lot of things that you've probably seen. So
Yeah, I liked Coraline, but I can't, if it's like that and it's very, obvious that it's fantasy or not real, like Coraline or like a cartoon or something like that, then I can get into it.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to suspend reality enough when it's actual human adults.
yeah.
Well, I guess this has kids in it too, but it's not. Like, Emma and Sean were trying to tell me that I would like Stranger Things, and I'm like, no, I wouldn't.
I'm glad Emma's getting into Stranger Things, though, because I
She
love
had it
Stranger
on,
Things.
and I just, I would follow for a couple seconds.
Yeah,
and
because
then
they spent the night at your house 2 nights ago, the girls,
Yeah.
Emma and Anya.
Yeah, that was fun.
And Anya got a haircut and some blue in her hair.
And then Emma got hers done.
Yeah, and Emma got a haircut
Yeah.
with pink, and
Yeah.
she really likes it, so
They
it's
look
pretty
cute.
exciting. They
I
do
like
look
it.
super cute,
I
ready
like
to go
it.
back to school.
Yeah, I like
Although
it.
Anya, that's a bad word for Anya's school. Like, she doesn't want anything
like,
to do with
"School."
school. And I'm like, I don't understand why, because you really do excel at school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have no reason not to like it. Like, it comes pretty easy to her, but she's just like...
Yeah.
And Emma's just ready to go see her friends again.
That's what
so.
she said. She's like, well, the school part I don't know, but the friend part.
But at least she wants to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we didn't talk about my hair either. Brandy did all of our hair.
Yes.
And I mean, it was already like this last time, but
yeah,
I just
I
forgot
love
to
it.
shout out.
It looks really good.
Forgot to shout out Brandy at Rock Andy. I always want
Rock
to say
Candy.
Rock Andy. Like Brandy, Rock Andy, Rock Candy.
She's amazing.
She is amazing.
Friend of the show, friend of our family.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of compliments on my hair, so
I get
like it.
compliments all the time.
Yeah.
I know you can't quite see it as good because of these marvelous headphones we have to wear.
It looks
but
good though.
It's pretty green. It's pretty green. So tell us a little bit. Like, it's funny because we keep talking about mental health, and we have a clinical psychologist on today from California.
Yes, but we didn't do the beam post.
Oh, we have to do the bean post. That's
Yes.
right. We have 2 today, right?
Yeah, so we'll talk about our guests in a little bit, not to dismiss that, but so we have Inte Watson, who is from New York, and she is, let's see, she had her transplant. She's 27 years old. She had her transplant on July 24th. So just a month ago, almost, about 3 weeks ago.
Congratulations. Yay.
Yeah, I'm excited. It was so cool to talk to her because she was just saying that she's at SUNY, I don't think you say Sunny, it's SNUY, I believe, Westchester Community College, to become an early childhood development teacher and work with special needs children.
Oh.
And then she just said, God bless. So that was her little message. But my favorite beam post ever.
Yeah, but only because you know them in person.
Right, because I already did talk about Maurice on the last one.
We did. That's right, because we talked about the event we went to.
How he was the first patient advocate for Next Stage in North Carolina. And then, I followed his footsteps. And because he had his transplant, oh my gosh, I didn't even mark the date. I know it was last week sometime. And when this comes out, it'll be a couple weeks anyway. So that's actually not as important as just the transplant itself.
Right.
But even 4 days later, he was already doing a virtual advocate event. Like, he was already back, doing...
So he's feeling good.
Yeah. But I did end up... that's why I went to Rocky Mount today, because that's normally his area. And so I got a few of his events that he had already signed up for, but that he's not going to be able to do. So
Because
thanks, Maurice.
He's post-surgery.
Yeah. So, but I
Aw.
mean, I'm sure he'll be back in no time. But he, I'm just so happy for him because
Yes,
I know he had
congratulations, Maurice.
Yeah, he had been on dialysis for 6 years.
He thinks I'm funny. He told me, he says, I think you're funny
Yeah,
when I met him in person.
I like Maurice.
I like him too.
We had a lot of fun. So I'm hoping he'll still be around with Next Stage and everything. I'm hoping he doesn't, fly the coop.
Fly the coop.
I'm hoping he sticks around because I still have to give him this pin that Dawn gave me that I haven't seen him. I thought I would have seen him by now. So those are our bean posts. And so we can get into talking about our guest.
Yes, I'm pretty excited. She's from California. Our second West Coast, because Brandy
had
May
the- yeah.
was also from, I think they're kind of
She
from
was
the
from
same area.
California. I don't,
Like San Francisco area?
no, because she's Brandy May said she was from Northern
Oh,
California. It was Petaluma.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
California's huge.
I know. Yeah,
So
so
San Francisco's kind of in the middle, I think. Isn't it? I don't know.
I would think it was more southern, but I could be wrong.
It's so big.
Yeah, I could be wrong. All right, so we're going to have Dr. Molly Keyrine, a clinical psychologist out of Los Angeles and San Francisco. And
Wow.
she's a recent transplant recipient, and she provides remote therapy to people living in California with a wide range of challenges. She's trying to transition her work now to strictly serve CKD patients. And I guess I kind of want to say, people who might not know that are listening to this or watching, CKD means chronic kidney disease. So that is actually kind of an umbrella term.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, have CKD, but they, it's from polycystic.
So
Kidneys or-
chronic just means it's long term as opposed to like acute.
Acute, yeah. Because,
You can have acute kidney failure and get better from it.
yeah, and a lot of people that was happening too with COVID. And
Yeah.
so they'd have to do like a few sessions of dialysis to get through. And
But that's
it's
not
crazy.
chronic. That would be just considered
Yeah,
acute. Okay.
that's just acute. And then, you get better from that.
Right.
Like, so.
So we're here with Dr. Molly.
Hey, Dr. Molly.
How are you doing today?
Hello. I'm doing well. Before I came on here, I just sort of like sat with myself and said, I really hope that what I present today is, really kind of reaches your audience. And I'm really honored to be invited here and excited to join you guys.
Well, we are so excited to have you. We've had one episode that we did like very casually because no one here is a professional, but we talked a little bit about our experiences with mental health. And so we're always kind of circling that and coming back to that.
Yeah, because it's been like a theme, because we also had our last guest. She is a friend of my boyfriend's family, but she went through like these 3 tragedies back to back to back. And so that kind of played into the mental health thing as well. And it's just very prevalent. And I think I'll say America, but probably a lot of other countries too, right now it's just a big thing, especially after COVID and everything. Like, I know I probably told you this when we talked, but I'm always repeating it because it's like my story. I had my transplanted kidney needed to be removed in March of 2020. And that was after a year and a half of being on home dialysis already, but I had stopped taking the anti-rejection meds. So I went and had it removed, and I actually stayed out of work because of COVID and recovering from that at the same time. I worked in a restaurant. So I went through pretty much a depression for about 6 months, but I didn't realize it because I wasn't socializing like I normally do. I wasn't, getting that energy that I feed off of other people. I was at home with my dialysis. Like, my boyfriend would come home and I would just be like, talk to me, like I'm this, stay-at-home mom who needs to, just talk to someone. So I get that.
Yeah.
And that was actually when I did seek therapy, because I, was like just not myself. And I was like, this is, something needs to change here. But so I know you haven't worked with anyone specifically on dialysis yet, but you do, so it's group therapy for CKD patients?
Right now, I'm sort of transitioning my practice to individual and group therapy for people who are experiencing end-stage renal disease, post-transplant dialysis patients, really sort of family support systems, really anyone in this world that needs support. You mentioned depression just a moment ago, and I think it's really good that you were able to recognize like something's not right. And thank God for the fact that our culture is sort of challenging a lot of the stigmas around mental health in general. Like,
We
across
talked
the
about
board.
that a lot last time because we're just like, I mean, I've always been a person that's been very open to therapy and even prescriptions if you need them.
Yeah.
So for me, that's always been. But so I know that like my parents, they have the stigma of, well, they're not going to go seek help because that's a sign of weakness, and I don't think it's ever been for me, and I know it's not really for the next generation. So I think at some point in pretty much everybody's life, they have to go through some sort of. They usually like I don't know one person that couldn't be helped or benefited from therapy at some point in their life. So we are very much pro that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like this is always sort of what I say. Life is hard. Sometimes it's easier. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's brutal.
Yeah.
And Samantha, I can only imagine that you're aware of that.
Yeah.
And it's like, why not?
Yeah.
When you can, if you can, why not have someone who is not entangled in your life, who is not sort of have their own feelings wrapped up in what your experiences are, kind of be there to support you, someone who's trained. And I know it's been a lifesaver in my life. I mean, this is why I do the work I do is, having a therapist in my 20s sort of like reparenting me.
Yeah.
Kind of providing all those gaps. So
Did
I'm
that-
really glad.
Did that make you kind of want to go in that direction with your, or did you always know you wanted to be a psychologist?
Yeah, I didn't always know, but yeah, I mean, that is part of the story is, I think we sort of want to give the world what we wish the world could give us. And when someone sort of can show up for you
Yeah.
and give you what you need in a way that without such a struggle, it can feel so kind of really can hit you. And I think that in itself is so inspiring in the sense that it's like, gosh, I want to give that to other people. I need more of that. I want to, so yeah, I mean, I think it can be very cerebral, but also very heart driven work. And, as it relates to CKD is, chronic kidney disease is no different in terms of the struggle of functioning and, what we know about depression being consistently, significantly higher risk for depression when you are in active end stage renal failure, when you're on dialysis, like the research has consistently shown this. And then what we know is that depression in itself, can, and I don't want to freak the audience out or whatever, but like it can lead to, a decreased lifespan of 10 years. So when we're talking about depression just alone,
Right.
this is a serious medical condition. And is absolutely one that is correlated with many things, but specifically being on dialysis, being a dialysis patient. This isn't, we like to joke, we like to laugh, we like to lighten things up because life is hard, but this is some serious stuff.
Yeah.
And Samantha, your sharing is, I think, just so important for other people going through it.
Thanks. And you made me think of something when you said you try to give the world what you want the world to give you, because I actually just started doing mentoring for the same company that I do the advocacy for, but it's for patients who have decided to go the home dialysis route and they're in training.
Okay.
And I wish that I would have had that.
Yeah, because the training cannot be easy.
Oh, it was rigorous. And it was for me and for a lot of people. I was going through, my transplanted kidney was failing, and so I was sick, I was mad, I was stressed, I was everything negative that you can think of. And I took that out on my nurse, and she still stuck with me. She still, had enough faith in me and knew that I could do it to not tell me, this isn't for you, you just need to go in center, because she could have done that. She has patients, she has a waiting list because she's so good at what she does. And so she has patients who would gladly take my place and do that. And I was being a brat and being, which I kind of think I have a little bit of a right to do that at, sometimes, but I shouldn't have taken that out on her and, given her the hard time when she was just trying to teach me. And I'm very grateful. And so now that I get to, do the mentoring, I feel like it's an honor because that's something that we need. We need that. Like
Yes.
people need someone that they can talk to who have gone through it or going through it.
Well, I
just
think
like you
that's the
said.
important part is that you actually went through it.
Right.
Like, so you can have very, like, your insight is so valuable because you know what it feels like, you know what it takes to do it.
Yeah, and I can say, today is hard, but you got to get through it because you are going to come out of this, better, and you can get to the other side. Because I really felt a lot of days like it was just, helpless, and like, I felt like it was the end. And we have names like end stage renal and
Yes.
so you're
That's
thinking,
terrible names. They should change that to something else.
right. You have all these,
Failure.
yes. Yes.
Failure. You're a failure.
You have all these words around it, but
I never thought about that, but the,
Yeah.
the lexicon is important.
Yeah,
That's the right
yeah.
word, right? The
Yeah, yeah.
Did I use it right?
I believe so.
Yay!
I
Samantha's
think
the wordsmith.
Well, I am, but that you stumped me on that one because I was like, yeah, and then you're like, is it? I'm like, oh, now I'm second guessing.
No, but I mean, I know why they have to be named that, but I feel like you're right. And I never thought about that. Failure, end stage,
Yeah.
the urgency of it, the importance of it. And it's that, yeah.
Yeah,
And that sort of like juxtaposed with, and I'm not saying this about every hospital, I'm not saying this about anyone specifically, but like sort of the dehumanization
Yep.
of the medical system.
Especially a
for-
dialysis center.
Yes.
Have you been to one? Because I mean, it is
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I was lucky this time around in the sense that like being 42, I know that this kidney that I have that is doing the best, I personalized it, doing the best he can,
yeah,
gendered it.
Samantha named her
is-
Sally.
yeah. Mine was a female. Yeah,
Yours is a female. How do
my
you spell that?
Sally.
It was Sally.
Oh, Sally.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was I had that from 2011 to 2018. So, yeah,
And that grieving process, all like
yeah.
Yeah.
going
Because
through
when
that.
you humanize the organ, then it
Yes.
is like a friend, or So I mean, but more than being sad and grieving, I was pissed. Like I was so
Yes.
upset, even though I knew months before my doctor, Dr. Fuller at UNC, he told me dialysis is in the future, so keep that in the back of your mind. Like you're heading toward dialysis again. I was like in denial. And so when it happened in October of 2018, I just was, like kind of
Dev-
floored, and I'm like, why am I so shocked he told me, but it's like
Yeah.
you don't want to wrap your head around that. And I started having swollen ankles and the same symptoms that I had the first time around. But so you said you had your transplant for how long did you say?
It's interesting. I was going to say mine is named Eamon. So Eamon and I guess I wish Sally was still with us, but in spirit,
Yeah.
Eamon and Sally meet.
Aw.
I've had Eamon since July 23rd of 2021.
Right,
So I
yeah.
Just
hit my
1 year.
year mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
That's a great
Yes.
anniversary. We would always celebrate Samantha's anniversary too.
Yeah.
Or Sally's
What
anniversary,
is-
rather.
What is Sally and Samantha? When were your anniversaries?
So it
together?
was
May.
no, it was March.
Oh, March. I knew it
it's-
started with M.
Oh,
So it was March
Split.
9th, which is like National Kidney Day as well. But I kept getting mixed up because it was like I went in on the 9th and maybe had the surgery on the 10th, and maybe the 10th is National Kidney Day. So it was like overnight. So that's why I always
Yeah.
get kind of confused.
Yeah, because it was overnight.
It was overnight. So it was like the 9th and the 10th. And then I kept thinking the 10th and the 11th. So it's around there. But I
word.
just pretty much celebrated all of March, which is, kidney month anyway. So
Yeah,
I pretty much.
that is
I mean,
skinny month.
I love that you bring up celebration too, because I know that is a part of the picture.
Yeah.
Sometime when you're in that space is sort of, I think when you go through something, I'd be curious, Samantha, to hear your experience with this, and sort of now being on dialysis, and I think, are you currently wanting a kidney transplant? Is
Yeah.
that something that you
Yeah,
put out there?
so
Yeah.
I'm on the
Great.
list again, and
Uh-huh.
so it gives you the whole time that you've been on dialysis. So I have the 4 years, like October will be 4 years. So even though I didn't get on right away because it took forever for them to get
Yeah.
everything to catch up, it still gives you that time. So I'm ready though, because the first time I was on dialysis before my transplant, it was 4 years. And I know that that doesn't mean that it's going to be the same the second time, but I still have that
Sure.
little thing in the back of my head that's like, okay, it's time. Like I'm ready.
Yeah, it's like there's something that's predictable in this very unpredictable
Yeah, please.
process. It's just such a hard, living with the unpredictable is one of the hardest things we do as human beings, and we
Right.
live with it every day.
Right.
Um, but like that, I'm what I've experienced is sort of like now after, the rage, the loss of agency, the anger. I'm really glad you brought up anger. That's huge. And I don't think a lot of people want to talk about that. Um, I can list all of the feelings, but, after having for me, it was a slow progression. So like having basically felt my body dying in a very slow plane crash, and sort of every day wanting to be in denial, but sort of my body being like, you have to sit down in the shower. Like,
Yeah.
how are you in denial about that? Right. But, since
get that.
going, yeah. But since going through that, it's like, I feel like life is sort of every day that I don't feel awful, that I feel good, whether it's the side effects from the immunosuppressants, is there's a level of gratitude
Yes.
that I would never ever had
Yep.
if I hadn't through this process. And I'm curious, Samantha, about your experience.
So
with
I
that.
just got the chills, which tells me that, I feel the same way, because I sit there and I think, who am I? Because I was such a negative, I was a negative Nancy, and I was a Debbie Downer. I was these things because it was like a defense mechanism for me, I believe. And also, you end up acting and being kind of what you see, what you grow up with. And my parents, they're very sarcastic, but sort of negative, and sorry, mom and dad, but but everything had a negative response, and I've been trying to change that for about 20 years.
Well, I will say this, is that when you talk about Sally, the first thing you said was, it was hard, but I had her for 7 years.
Yeah, I just said that today to a dialysis patient. I said, and I want to get away from calling them patients, but whatever. But
hard.
yeah, it's very hard. I know you know. So like, I was talking to this person who's on dialysis, and I told him, I'm like, but I'll take, because everyone wants to say, oh my God, I'm not gonna worry about getting a kidney because that doesn't last forever anyway. And well, not everyone, but some people say that. And I was like, well, I'll take that 7.5 years, because one day off of dialysis for me is worth going through that. And so, I'll take it. And I also just now look at things like, this has, like, I got to meet you. This has opened up so many doors. Like, I wouldn't be doing this podcast if I wasn't on dialysis. I would not be, driving to Rocky Mount today, doing the advocacy, meeting all these people, working with these great people. And it's just opened up so many doors that I would never, ever have imagined dialysis would open. Because in 2018, when I went back on dialysis, I thought my life is over. I thought my boyfriend shouldn't even worry about being with me, because who wants to be with someone on dialysis? Like, who wants to go through that? And, he's never said anything like that and wouldn't do that. But, if I was in center, I really think that I would be a lot more depressed. And so I'm grateful to have the modality that I have to be able to do it at home. I'm very, very grateful, and I feel very blessed, because it's not something everybody gets a chance to do. And like, I would have never thought I would say I'm very grateful for dialysis, but I am. Like, it's crazy. I mean, it's keeping me alive too.
I was going to say, what is the alternative?
Yeah.
Because I've seen on the Living on Dialysis page that there have been people that say, I'm not going to do it.
I'm just giving up.
I'm just going to let it happen.
Yep.
Yep.
So
Yep.
and I mean that's their choice, and I don't know, like I mean, because when I think of like you've been my hero since you were 22, because you've been sick since you were
Yeah.
22, so
Yeah.
I've always been like I don't know how she does it, and I know it's just like one day at a time, and you have to do what you have to do, but I'm thinking about like, oh my gosh,
I still look back and think, how did I do 4 years of going to that place? Like, of going in center. I mean, I went to like 3 different places because they moved at one point, and then I went to nocturnal dialysis. But, I mean, I never missed a treatment, and I went, and I just, it was like, you have to go, you have to show up, you have to do this. Like, as much as I did not want to. And there's times that I don't want to do it, now, of course, because it's still dialysis, even though it's great. I get to be in the privacy of my own room and, have the freedom and the comfort and just having that autonomy and being empowered to take control of my treatment. I think,
Yes.
that's a big thing. And
especially for you because you are a very independent person. You've always been super
Yeah.
independent. You don't like others fussing over you. You don't like others, like you don't like asking for help. So I
Right,
feel like
right.
home dialysis, you being able to control all of that is
Yeah.
just for you, especially like very independent.
Yeah, and it's helped me reclaim that independence because, you can really go. It's like a slippery slope where I've seen people do it. Once they go into that center, they almost. I said earlier today to the girl I was working with, I was like, it's almost like they become a baby in here. Like they come in here, they get wheeled in, and they just. A lot of people will say, no, I don't want to do home dialysis. I'd rather have them do it for me, and they'll just flat out tell you, like, I'd rather have the professionals. And I'm like trying to explain, like, you become the professional. And I understand it's not for everybody. I totally get that. And some people
Yep.
can't, there's mobility issues or eyesight issues or, things like that. But it's like they go in there and they're like, just do whatever you want. And I was that way. Like I was so young that I would not look at what they
Yes.
were doing and everything. But so I now know what that machine is doing and what the numbers mean and all of that. And I really am grateful for that.
It forces you to really learn everything about it. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
But I like that because I was mad when I was in center. I hated everybody. Now I'm not really mad about being on dialysis. And I think it was a lot of lack of control.
Yeah.
Is why, like, I'd have to go in there and they just, they're telling me when I can move, when I can sit, when I can stand. Like, I don't like that. And so I like being able to be like, I'll go do dialysis like when I leave here, so I can be here right now, and I'll do it whenever I want to do it, and you're not going to tell me.
You talked about the
mean,
dehumanization.
Yeah, the dehumanization with the yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think like there's an important aspect sort of in what you're saying, is, I think when we become ill, when anyone sort of, or a better way to say it is when anyone sort of is their ability to cope is being like outmatched by the level of stress in their life, right? And kidney failure and confronting dialysis, we're not equipped. We have to learn to cope. We're not there yet. And I think that when we're overwhelmed, we will regress. You will see, like even with my own family, when there's a crisis in the family and maybe CKD is one of those crises, or, sudden kidney failure, everyone sort of in the system regresses, right? And these old patterns show up. And so I think that there is something in this, like you are sort of feeling helpless, you're acting out that helplessness.
That makes sense.
And you're not trusting any of these people because, there is this feeling of, am I just like a sheep being
Right.
herded
Right.
onto these machines?
Yeah.
So,
And they want to
I mean, I
get you
think-
in, get you out, get you in because they're turning the chairs because there's so many people who need dialysis, and you feel like a number, and they don't mean to
Yeah.
do it, but it's just how it happens.
I mean, there is something called compassion fatigue, and it's
Yep.
something that,
Yep.
I'm sure you guys are aware of. But Samantha, I wanted to go back to something you said about like getting chills and asking yourself, who am I? Because I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like what you're speaking to is like, maybe a level of acceptance around maybe there's something about living this way and this life.
So much. I got chills again. And so
Right?
it is. It's almost like you feel, well, I feel like I was chosen for this. And I know that sounds
Yes.
kind of corny,
Yeah.
and
Nope.
I hate being cheesy like that, but it's like once I went back on dialysis in 2018, I thought there is there's a reason for this. There's a reason. And I kept saying
Yes.
I wanted to help other people. I wanted to help other patients, and I didn't know how to go about it. I like started an Instagram account and was trying to network that way, but that was just like, you got to sift through all the BS, and it's like I
Yeah.
couldn't really put my finger on what I wanted to do. And the clinic manager where I am, she told me, start here, start talking to patients about home dialysis. And I did that. I talked to the younger people I would see coming in. So I kind of started on my own, but I found that without that formality there with like, I don't know, working with a CKD and having like a title to it, it was
Right.
like guys were just trying to hit on me, and it was just it got to be kind of a mess. And it was like, one guy was like, yeah, could you take pictures of your stuff at home to send me so that I can see what it looks like? And I did, and he totally, like my dialysis stuff, sorry, that sounded bad, but I was like, yeah, that sounded bad because I was like, he's hitting on me, but he really was hitting on me, not that point, but he
Yes.
did, because then he didn't really even want to respond to that. He only wanted to keep the conversation going, not about dialysis. And I'm like, okay,
You
bye.
know,
Yeah, I'm like, bye.
yeah.
So
Yes.
you
And
got to be
and that's
careful
what people
there.
do.
Hmm.
They deflect.
Yeah.
We deflect when we're in distress.
Yeah.
We misdirect.
Hmm.
I'm sure kind of focusing on you was maybe a great buffer for him
Yeah.
than rather than facing,
Hmm.
you know, my God, the grief,
Hmm. Yeah,
the
because
loss.
like a lot of people don't think I'm a patient when I'm in there, and so I think that's what he thought at first. And it wasn't just him. There was another guy, and like then there was like three different. It ended up being I didn't see any females, so I just started talking to those three guys at separate times, and then it just became kind of a mess where I was like, okay, I need to back out of
Yep.
this, and so I abandoned that. And then when Next Stage. When I got the offer from the one nurse who was there helping at the clinic from Next Stage, or she had the offer from Next Stage, I was like, yeah, I jumped on it. I was so excited. And then, it just blossomed from there. And now I'm doing the mentoring, and I really feel like that's the reason, that's the reason why my kidney failed, so that I can do this work. And I'm
Well,
grateful.
it has been so good talking to you, Dr. Molly, but I think we are going to have to
Yes.
stop. I almost want to do, I would love to have you on again. This has been
Yeah.
so quick. It's gone by so fast, but I don't want to
gosh.
get cut off. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
For joining us and taking time out of your day. You've been so insightful. We've really appreciated having you on.
Yeah, I would like to do a part 2 as well if you're down with that.
I am down. I think this is the most important work,
Yeah.
something I never dreamed of focusing my psychology work on.
That's
And so
awesome.
yeah, and I just Samantha, everything you're saying is so relatable. But
Right.
I don't want to get cut off. But thank you so much for having me.
Thank
It's
you.
been
Thank
great.
you, Dr.
Thank you.
Molly.
I'll be in touch.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Pleasure.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Well, thank you to Dr. Molly. That was so awesome.
That was awesome. She's got a great smile too.
She's
cute.
She's beautiful. We love her. But yeah, no, I mean, think about how much that is needed.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wanted to ask you, is that part of the process, like, because I know you get a caseworker from like social services,
Yeah.
but is it something that's offered to you in general? Is it something they encourage when you first find out that you're, in stage 5 or you're going on
So,
dialysis?
If it was when I was younger, I don't remember. And honestly,
But do you think it could have been like, well, I don't want that, because you were like 22.
yeah, I probably would have been like, I don't need therapy. I'm not crazy. That's how I thought back then, because that's how everybody thought. And if it was offered, then no, I didn't take it. It wasn't pushed, and it wasn't, like it's not this plan and this outline, and it's not a service that is like, really encouraged. I know at one point I did go see someone, and then I was prescribed Effexor XR. I said I was having trouble focusing in school, and I was. I think it had to do with my relationship at the time, I believe. But I was prescribed that medicine, and it was like I got these like sample packs. I think I took it for maybe a week and a half.
Yeah, I
and
remember
was
you
like,
telling it did not work
I was
out
like, I
for you.
can't do this. Like, they're like, oh, you need to let it get in your system and, whatever. But when I found myself staring at the wall when I was supposed to be getting ready for a party, I was like, this isn't for me. I even looked different in the picture taken at that party. Like,
Wow.
my face was almost like melting or so. I was like, who is this person? So
I mean, but that's part of taking medication is trying to find the right one.
It was awful,
But that's why
though.
it's so important to find a good psychiatrist.
Right. And this was someone who, like, I mean, I didn't have talk therapy sessions with them.
Right.
It was one visit, and it was, like 10 minutes or whatever. And I believe that was just a regular physician. I can't even remember who it was.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, this time around, and I don't know if it has to do with being on home dialysis or if it just has to do with, I believe that the staff in dialysis centers in general are more sensitive. I think there's been a lot of sensitivity training, cultural awareness training, things like that, because they're just nicer, like even on the floor in center. But, in the home department, I do have a social worker. They've switched them a couple times. Social workers are kind of always coming and going. But I've had Julie now for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, I think was Jasmine or something like that. But both of them have been, really encouraging as far as, saying if you need any help finding a therapist, let me know. Because they can see that I'm wanting to do a lot of this stuff on my own.
Right.
And so it's kind of like, if you get to a point where you can't do it on your own, just let me know. And she does check in with me. I mean, she's there at the doctor's visits every month, and
Well,
she
I like
checks in.
that we're finally prioritizing the
Yeah.
fact that it's like we were watching something about wrestling, and they were talking about CTE.
What's that?
I forget the exact words it stands for, but it's like when you get multiple
Concussions. Yeah.
and there's a guy that was in the NFL, or no, he was a wrestler, and he had like six concussions, and he ended up not wrestling, but he became a neurologist, doctor person thing. That's so proper. I'm using such the right terms. But he studies now CTE and the effect and the long-term effects, because if you think about it, though, it makes sense that it would so affect how you act, because it literally is like damage in those centers of your brain that controls that behavior.
There's a whole lot of people who think that, like serial killers who've had head injuries, it's from that.
I mean, I not to excuse anybody's behavior, but
Right.
I felt bad for his last name's Benoit, but he was like a really good father, a really good husband, and then he killed his child and his wife, and then himself.
Yeah.
But I think, that's of course unforgivable. But you're not just seeing just him; you're seeing other like ex-football players do
Right, like
very
you said, NFL.
crazy.
Have you seen Concussion, the movie?
No, but it's very violent,
see
like
it.
behavior that's not typical of them. And people will be like, I cannot believe they did this, because that's not who they are. And so that's a little bit, but anyway, so this ex-wrestler is now studying that, which I think is like so important, because that's something that they finally have started to take seriously in sports, contact sports, is amount of concussions people get, because in the 80s wrestlers were just purposely getting not purposely, but they knew they were going to get concussed, probably because like they were flying off the rings and landing on their head and whatnot. But I think more of that is important. But I guess where I'm even trying to go with this is the fact that we're starting to kind of have more awareness that it's important to be okay.
For your brain to be healthy.
For your brain to be healthy, it's important.
Yeah.
It's important that if you're feeling a certain kind of way, to figure out what you need to get yourself some help. Because I'm so glad this era of seeing that as a weakness is kind of finally going away. Like our parents were in that generation where they wouldn't have probably necessarily sought someone out to do therapy with. And it's kind of changing in our generation, and then the next generation is gonna be like a perfectly normal thing. Hopefully, hopefully, I think it's kind of moving that way.
Yeah, it is, because but then there's the whole thing about like every single child has to have a diagnosis, so it's kind of like there's
I was
pros and
about to say
cons.
something, so I will say this, that right now people are seeing therapists because we've tried to make appointments for therapists, and everybody is on a waiting list now. So I think it's a good field to get into because there is a need. There is a need, and it is out there.
Yeah, that's true.
But real quick, because we were talking about, you're in this Buy Nothing group.
Yeah.
Please tell me about
so
that, because I'm so confused about that, because you said you got a free Keurig.
Yeah, the Buy Nothing Project. So you go on Facebook and you search in the search thing on Facebook, Buy Nothing Project. And it'll come up, like it'll give you a couple of them in your area. You pick the one that you think is like closest to your neighborhood. And then it'll ask you click on it, it'll ask you questions. Like if you click on join, it'll ask you, I think it says like your cross street or your zip code. And so you put that in, and then it'll tell you which one, you know, or I'm sorry, it'll tell you if that's the one. Like when Mom tried to join one, I think they told her you got to go to this one or whatever. So I am in the one for the Cleveland area, like Cleveland being Cleveland School Road and
Not
all
Cleveland,
that.
Ohio.
Yeah, not so it's in Garner and Clayton, Johnston County. But I did go to one lady's house that ended up being 15 minutes away from me, almost in Smithfield, but you know, whatever.
So like they post stuff that they want to get rid of.
Yes.
Or you post stuff that you want to get rid of.
And some people post stuff that they're looking for. They're asking for, does anyone have...
See, that seems so genius.
Yeah, because what it is like trying to get to where we would have to buy nothing.
Well, but that not only is that awesome and a good incentive, but what appeals to me about it is we're so wasteful. We just go out and buy stuff. We're just such consumers. Like we consume so much stuff, and you get rid of so much stuff, and it usually almost never goes to someone else.
My stuff does.
Well, your stuff
I'm not
does.
wasteful.
I know you're not wasteful. I'm saying as a society.
As a society, you're
as
right,
a society, and as a mom, it's like I have to constantly get new clothes for my kids, and so like. That's
if
what
you
appeals.
had, like those clothes, you could say, I
yeah,
have these.
because Anya finally, she has been signed 7-8 for 3
Right,
years.
and so if you had those
Finally out of it.
Those bags, you could just put them on there. You don't have to say everything that's in there. You say 2 big bags of girls' clothes, 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Does anyone want them?
Yeah, and
then,
some stuff in there is new that she didn't even really wear.
Right, and then people comment on it. I would like to be considered for this, and then you pick. You're supposed to pick based on. Some people pick based on who can come get it first. Some people pick based on the need. Like if someone says, my kid really needs this lunchbox or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I got rid of some markers and pens and stuff. A girl came and got them that I think she works in a daycare or school or something. She said kids who need school supplies. A travel humidifier. I've gotten rid of, I was just talking to a girl about curtains I'm getting rid of. So for me, it helped me go ahead and do the declutter, because it's not easy to do the declutter when you're going to put it in a bag and you're going to say, I'm going to give it to Goodwill, because you know it's just going to sit there, or I'm going to give it to the women's shelter. It's just going to sit there.
Well, gosh, even the women's shelter, we took toys there one time, and they just have so much stuff.
Right.
Which is awesome. I'm so glad they have so much stuff as opposed to not enough stuff. But anyway.
Yeah, because, you know, I've taken stuff there, but they're not going to want, you know, all this other, like, they're not going to want a humidifier, you know what I mean? So I take, like, my old clothes there or whatever, but this has really, you know, kind of put a fire under me to go ahead and go in the closets and declutter, and I am starting to feel really good. I've gotten rid of a lot of small things. I'm ready to, like, really go in and get rid of, you know, like, clothes
I think
blankets
that's something that's kind of hindered me, too, because I was like, you just bag it up and take it to Goodwill.
Just sits there.
And then it just sits there forever.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And since Slim thinks I'm a hoarder, even though I really don't think I'm that much.
No, you're not bad.
I hoard certain things, but that's more
What
like...
do you think you hoard?
Shopping bags. Because if it's a good shopping bag...
Like a plastic one?
Not like the Walmart bags. I take those into Walmart where they recycle them. But so I hoard them for a little bit until I take them. But
right.
What I keep is like okay, Shoe Show has really good bags.
Like the good paper bags.
Well, the good paper bags, yes, but Shoe Show just has the good. It's plastic, but
it's
got
big.
It's big. It's thick. It's got the handles. And then like I have a hard time getting rid of shoe boxes.
I think kind of everyone does their especially if they're nice. Like if they're like bent from the
Well,
mail or something.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's
our
okay.
grandparents like used to store stuff in
That's
all
what
these
it
things. Yeah,
is.
and Grandma had a paper bag of paper bags, and so that's why I have a
paper bag of paper bags.
I mean, like,
But we used to have to wrap our books in those.
right, but Jersey Mike's has the ones with the handles. Like, I wish they wouldn't give me a bag because I don't want to throw it away. And then, like, I do use them.
Yeah.
Like, for all these ladies coming to get this stuff, it's mostly
That's
ladies.
worked out good for you.
It's never guys. Like, the guys are
You
not
don't think
on this
guys are
website.
even on this site?
I think I saw like 2.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. And actually, the one in my area got capped because there's so many people. So
Oh, got capped. Like they can't
Yeah,
have any.
it got-
Like when you said they got capped, I was like, what
Must
kind of
have
site
capped.
is this? Like, what's going on?
So I feel very lucky to be a part of it because they capped it like a week after I joined, and so I got the Keurig, and it was actually because I wanted something else that the girl had. She was like, well, since you're coming to get this, you can come get this, and everyone acted like they wanted that Keurig, but I guess no one came to pick it up. So it's this mini little
Well,
white.
people do that. They get excited and then
Yeah.
they kind of like, oh no.
Because the
I don't
Keurig
know.
on there, everyone's like, oh my God, it's a mini, like, it's a small one. I think it's too small for
Well,
most
Emma
people.
said she had coffee in it. It was
Yeah,
amazing.
her and Anya thought it was the best. Like, they had
You
coffee.
didn't give Anya coffee.
No,
did
no,
you?
she had cocoa twice, and
Okay.
Emma had coffee twice. It was at night and then in the morning.
Because
But-
Anya will be jumping off the walls if you give her
But yeah, we
caffeine.
felt like we were just like Starbucksing it up because, you know, I have this little, and the
Aw.
lady gave me pods too, little hot cocoa and Starbucks little K-cups. I said pods, but I don't think that's the right word. But yeah, and it's good for me because I think it makes 10 ounces. I don't drink that much coffee like that. So.
No, that's something that
perfect.
if I was to do coffee in any sense in our house, because we have a machine and we break it out like never. So if we had a Keurig, we could probably just have it whenever we want. But I just am like, I think I'm at a point where I don't have much counter space and I don't
me
like
neither.
cluttered counter space. So
Yeah.
I'm like, none of us drink coffee enough. We'll just go to Starbucks or whatever.
Yeah, I'm the same, and like I really just drink it when I'm going to work in the morning for next stage, so it's not every day. And
Yeah, it's funny because I only have certain times where I want it too. But anyway.
but the Buy Nothing project is really great, so look for that in your area because
Oh, yeah.
it's awesome, and then it does make you feel like you need to pay it forward and you need to give stuff. So that's what I've been doing, and I like it because that way I feel like
Well, you
know,
can shop without spending any money.
That's the whole point.
Because
And-
I don't know if everyone likes to, but you like to look and like,
yeah,
I don't know,
yeah,
see
and
what's out there.
it's funny because some people might think, well, if you're decluttering and also getting gifts, then you're not really, you're kind of canceling out.
You always need something.
Yeah,
And
but
you
I've-
always don't need something.
I've only gotten a few things. I got a sign that says love that I really like that I kind of think I might paint. It's white and it's got cork. It's on a cork thing. And then I got the Keurig and something else. I can't remember. But people put the funniest things
I
on
wonder
there.
if they have any, like Sean wants to build an enclosure for Ash, our bearded dragon.
Well, I know he wants a dresser thing like that he was looking for.
I don't know.
So I've
he
been kind
changes it every day. It's something
because
every,
I've been
like I
kind of
think
looking for that, but
everything he looks at, he thinks, how can I make this into a bigger enclosure? Because we have him in a fairly large enclosure. It's what is it? Not a terrarium, but
I guess.
it could be an aquarium, but now it's just holding Ash.
Okay.
And we've got like a mesh top and then the light and
So
everything.
terrarium, yeah, because that means
Well,
land in an
terrariums,
aquarium.
I thought like you would
means
usually
water.
grow like terrariums are like for
plants.
plants, I think.
I don't know.
I'm
land
like blanking on it. Anyway, we're rambling.
Yeah, that's cool though. But no, there was a cat. What do they call them? A tower. And I thought,
Yeah.
would Ash want that? But somebody got it. So I was going to
Well,
ask you guys.
yeah,
if
I
you-
don't know.
It was brand new. It was nice.
But anyway, so of course, make sure to like and follow us on all of our social medias. And we are also on Patreon, so look for us there. And we will wrap up. You ready?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
Is it ready to say?
Yeah.
Share your spare. Take care, folks. That's all, folks.
Bye.
That's all she wrote.